I know that respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship, but in mine, it simply doesn't exist. I feel undervalued, ignored, as if my opinion doesn't matter. When I say something serious, he looks away at his phone. When I express my emotions, I'm told I'm overreacting. I've tried talking about it, but it always ends the same way, with him saying I'm making problems out of nothing, that I'm being too sensitive. Besides that, there are small actions that, at first, seemed insignificant but have built up over time. The impatient tone of voice, the jokes at my expense, the lack of consideration when I'm overwhelmed. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't even realize how much these things hurt me. Other times, I feel like he knows, but just doesn't care enough to change. I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to beg for respect, but I also don't know what to do anymore. Wisdom, how to overcome lack of respect in a relationship.
Respect is the foundation of any healthy romantic relationship. When it is missing, everything around it slowly begins to crumble. The absence of respect is not only expressed through harsh words or aggressive behavior, but also through the silence that disregards, the indifference that wounds, and the small actions that show neglect. If you feel that your words are ignored, that your emotions are minimized, and that your presence is taken for granted, you are in an environment where respect is not valued. Disrespect can be subtle or obvious, but its consequences are always the same: emotional exhaustion, insecurity, and the weakening of the connection between two people. Overcoming this situation requires clarity, firmness, and awareness of your own worth. If you want to restore or reevaluate this relationship, there are 5 essential lessons you need to understand. First lesson: respect is not demanded, it is established. The respect you receive is a reflection of the respect you establish. If you continually tolerate behaviors that diminish you, the message being conveyed is that such actions are acceptable. Respect is not something you beg for or impose by force. It is established through clear boundaries and how you position yourself in situations. Demonstrating that there are consequences for disrespectful behavior is not an act of aggression, but of dignity. When you recognize your own worth and do not compromise it, you teach others how you expect to be treated. Establishing respect does not mean creating conflict, but rather defining an environment where your presence is valued and your emotions are taken seriously. Second lesson: repeated disrespect is not a mistake, but a pattern. Everyone makes mistakes at some point. In moments of heightened emotion, thoughtless words may be spoken, and misguided actions may occur. However, when disrespect becomes a constant and there is no effort to change, it is not a slip, it is a pattern. You must observe whether the lack of respect in the relationship is an exception or a rule. A mistake can be recognized, acknowledged, and corrected. A pattern, on the other hand, repeats itself, gets justified, and becomes normalized within the relationship. If you feel like your concerns are always dismissed, you might be caught in a cycle where respect was never a priority. And cycles like this, when not broken, only grow stronger over time. Third lesson: respect begins when there is reciprocity. True respect cannot exist in a relationship where only one person puts in the effort. You can demonstrate patience, understanding, and a willingness to communicate. But if the other person has no intention of changing, your actions alone will not be enough to transform the dynamic. Respect is a mutual commitment, not a favor granted by one person while the other disregards its importance. For respect to be genuine, it must be present on both sides of the relationship. If only you are practicing it, it is no longer a mutual exchange, but a one-sided sacrifice. Reciprocity is the foundation of any healthy bond. Without it, there is no balance, only emotional exhaustion. Fourth lesson: the respect you accept reflects the respect you have for yourself. If you constantly accept apologies without a change in behavior, you allow the cycle of disrespect to continue. The way you see yourself determines what you are willing to tolerate. Self-respect does not mean acting with arrogance or pride, but rather understanding that your presence in any relationship should be valued. Many times, the fear of loneliness or the desire to maintain the relationship at any cost makes you accept less than you deserve. But staying where there is no respect does not preserve a relationship. It only prolongs suffering. Your worth is not in accepting love that does not treat you with dignity, but in having the courage to walk away from what diminishes your essence. Fifth lesson: where there is no respect, there is no foundation for true love. Many people believe they can save a relationship simply by loving more, being more understanding, overlooking offenses, and insisting that the other person change. But love without respect is nothing more than an illusion disguised as affection. A relationship can withstand financial difficulties, daily challenges, and even periods of emotional distance. But it cannot survive without respect. The love that is truly worthwhile walks hand in hand with admiration, care, and mutual consideration. When respect is repeatedly broken, love loses its meaning and turns into something toxic and destructive. You deserve more than that. Now, allow me to share a parable that perfectly illustrates what I mean. The parable of the mirror and the dust. There was a crystal mirror that reflected everything around it with perfection. It was clear, radiant, and anyone who approached could see themselves clearly in it. Over time, small particles of dust began to settle on its surface. At first, they were almost imperceptible, and the mirror continued to reflect well. But as the days passed and the dust accumulated, its reflection began to fade. It no longer showed images with clarity. The mirror tried to ignore the dust, believing it would disappear on its own. But it didn't. Instead, it only increased. Until one day the mirror realized that it could no longer reflect anything. It had become dull, lifeless, and without purpose. Then the mirror understood. It was not the dust that had the power to erase its reflection, but the fact that it had never been cleaned. And so, it made a decision. It wiped away all the dust and once again shone with its full intensity. You are like that mirror. Disrespect can start small, almost unnoticed. Comments that hurt, actions that diminish, a lack of consideration that repeats itself. At first you may ignore it, believe it will pass, think it's not that serious. But over time, these small offenses accumulate, and your sense of self-worth begins to fade. If you allow disrespect to persist without consequence, it will continue to grow until your light is completely dimmed within the relationship. But when you decide to clean away the dust, to reclaim your shine, and to demand the respect you deserve, you will once again see your true reflection. Now, I want to hear from you. What does respect mean to you in a relationship? Comment below and share your thoughts. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of growth and learning. May your worth never be diminished by someone else's disrespect. And may your light always shine with full intensity.